How do you get your app idea out of your head so you can actually build it? Most non-tech app entrepreneurs get stuck in the planning and researching phase for way too long with their apps, simply because they don't know how to take their big app idea and get it out of their heads and translate it into a development plan they can actually follow to build their app. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Now, if you're new around here, my name is Kristen, and I'm the co-founder of Coaching No Code Apps. We help business owners and industry experts build custom apps to start their app-based businesses or scale their existing businesses, all without coding. So how do you get that big app idea out of your head and actually start building it? Well, this is for you. If you have had your app idea in your head for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or longer, but you still haven't started building it, or if you have spent hours or days or even weeks of your time wireframing your app idea, creating designs and hundreds of screens for your app, but you haven't started building it, this is for you. If you have researched to the ends of the earth, if you have said you were going to build your app and said you were going to get started a number of times, but you haven't actually done it yet, this is for you. So what we're going to do today is actually create an app development plan so that you can then go and create your own. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, and we're going to jump over to the whiteboard here so we can actually go through this process of creating an app development plan. And we're actually going to talk about an app that we ourselves are currently creating so that we can use a real life example to help you kind of translate this over to your own app, your own idea, and your own plans. So we have a model here, and this is going to help simplify your app idea and turn it into a plan that you can follow and find an exact starting place for your development. So there are two specific components we want to start out with, and those are going to go at either end of this model. So over here on the far left side, in this farthest left column, what you're going to do is outline what your full scope app is. Now, this is your full app idea with every single feature and functionality you have envisioned it having, with all the bells and whistles. This is your really big app idea that you've been thinking about and planning. And then on the opposite side, on the far right, we have your big vision. Now, this is different. Your big vision is what you want to get out of having this app. So let's say you have that full scope app built, you have users on board. What does that do for you? Does it create a new business for you? Does it create a new revenue stream for your existing business? Does it let you transition into a new career, for example? That's your big vision. That's the ultimate goal that you want to see on the other side of this. So those are the first two things you need to define. Now, most app entrepreneurs actually have clarity on these two pieces because they've spent so much time thinking about it and planning it that they have a really good idea of what they want their full scope app to be. And they have a really good idea of those motivating and driving forces behind it. So these are the two components that are usually the easiest to put in place. So that's what you want to do first. And then what we're going to do is work our way in on both sides. Okay, and now we do this by asking one specific and very simple question. We have to ask ourselves, what must be true for this to happen? What must be true for this to happen? So we're going to ask that really simple question as we work our way in on both sides of this model. So let's start with an example. So currently we're building our own app to help manage our own group coaching program. So we have a program called Built to Scale, and it's where we take a group of founders from having their app idea to having their minimum viable product. That first version they can start testing, their MVP. So we have this group coaching program, and we have created a system where we manage it, where we manage the members, we track their progress and their milestones, and so on. Now, this has been created through a series of spreadsheets, and this helps us achieve our goal of making sure we are taking all members through this process as they should go through it. They are meeting their milestones and their goals, etc. Now, we're currently creating an app to replace that spreadsheet system so that we can enhance the system, so that we can automate certain aspects and make sure that there is no human error or manual error. Okay, so this is the app we're actually creating. Now, I'm going to add on some components in this example just to help you envision what this would look like. So our full scope app, this is something that really could be used in any type of coaching program, right? Lots of different businesses in the world run coaching programs. And while we're building this app for our own use, eventually this could be something that lots of different businesses use to run and manage their own group coaching programs. So let's say our full scope app is something that kind of acts as an operations hub for any group coaching program. So it tracks members' progress, it manages members, it tracks calls and submissions and deadlines and whatever it may be. This helps you run your entire group program. So what I'm going to say here is that this is our full scope app is our operations system for group coaching programs, for any type of group coaching program, okay? So now we have to ask ourselves this really simple question. What must be true in order for this to happen? And when we can answer that, we can move into this next column. And remember, we're working our way to the middle here. So we are kind of taking steps inward a little bit at a time. So what must be true to have this full operating system for group coaching programs? Well, for us, it would be a member management system for ourselves, for our own use. So let's remove the prospect of having it in other businesses, and let's just look at the next step inward. Okay, we have to have this member management system for ourselves. So maybe it automates checkpoints. It manages members' progress. It manages dates and deadlines, and it automates a lot of these processes. So let's just call this one right here our member management. Okay. So we must have this automated member management tool in place in order for this full scope coaching program operations system to happen. Okay, so we answered that really simple question in order to take this step in. And now we're going to take another step in and get even a little bit more granular and specific and contained. So what must be true in order for this automated member management system to happen? Well, maybe it is a way to create a timeline for the length of your program, and your members' data is aggregated within this, and at certain points within that timeline, we get notifications that maybe certain submissions should have been made, or maybe certain calls should happen. Whatever it may be, we get notifications, and then we manually reach out to members and we say, hey, we need to do this, this, and this. Okay, so some of the systems are automated, but some of it is still manual. So let's just call this our timeline. Okay, so first, we must have this program timeline where members go through the program and checkpoints are within that timeline, and we are being notified of when things should happen. That has to happen before we can then turn around and automate all of it so that none of this manual work is happening, so that it again reduces any human error, etc. Okay, so we've worked our way in by again asking the question, what must be true in order for this automated member management system to work? Okay, we have to have our timeline. Now, one more time, what must be true in order for this timeline and this member aggregation system to happen? Well, let's take it into our very middle step, and let's just say that we need a way to aggregate member data. Okay, so we're going to call this aggregation. So essentially, when a member joins us, we need a way to pull that information into our system and have really easy access to it so we can easily stay in communication with them and stay updated and so on. We can make notes and whatever it may be. So essentially, we first need a way to pull all that information in so that we can then start adding different functionalities to happen around that information. Okay, so we've worked our way inwards. We have started with our full scope app all the way out here to the left. And then we asked, what must be true in order for this to happen? And we refined that full scope app a little bit. And we moved in. And then again, what must be true in order for that to happen? Another refinement. And then we did it one more time until we got all the way to the middle here. And we have our very basic product. So what we have to do now is turn around and do it on the other side with our vision. Okay, so let's say that for this app, for this example app we're using, our big vision is just to have an additional revenue stream. Okay, we're not looking to replace our business, but we might eventually sell it to other businesses who run similar programs. So that could give us an additional revenue stream. So maybe that's our big vision. Okay, so again, we have to ask the question, what must be true in order for this to happen? And then we're going to work our way inward on the other side. Okay, so what must be true in order for us to create this additional revenue stream where other businesses are paying to use the software? Well, really what we need to make sure is happening is that this app is actually saving us time and actually helping members get the results that they want. So let's say an easy KPI or a key performance indicator, something that we can track, a metric, could be it saves X hours per week in manual work. So let's say that is the metric that we want to work up to. Let's say we want to make sure we're saving 5 hours a week of manual work. And if that's true, then we know that we can take those 5 hours a week and focus them on promoting the app to outside businesses. Okay, so that would be a good example of saying, okay, if we can get to the point where this app is saving us this amount of time per week, we can take that time and invest it into turning this into an actual additional revenue stream. Okay, so that must be true in this example scenario for the big vision to be true. And then we have to ask again, well, what must be true in order for us to save 5 hours a week by using the app? Well, what has to be true is that it has to be solving our problem, right? This is really simple. And this is where a lot of people, they add too much complexity. But in reality, it just has to solve our problem. Even if it's not necessarily saving us time, for example, it has to solve a problem of removing human error, making sure that programs are all seamless and that everyone is hitting all their goals and their milestones and so on, right? It just has to serve that purpose. And if it's serving that purpose, well, then we can start enhancing it and adding on components that will save us more time, adding on those automation aspects, right? Because we just need the solution right now. It doesn't all need to be automated. We just need the solution. Once we start enhancing it and automating, well, then it'll take us to that next step of saving time, right? So we just have to make sure we're solving the problem first. And then we'll ask again, well, what must be true in order to solve our problem? Well, right in the middle here, we just have to have a working product. We have to have this minimum viable product, our MVP, and it has to function. Once we have made sure it's functioning, then we can start looking out. Okay, so this is really our first goal right here. It's just having this functioning product that aggregates all of our members' data, and then we can start working out. Okay, so next we build this timeline where things are still manual, but it still tracks the program process within the app. And if it does that and it solves our problem, right, well, then we can move out again. Because remember, it doesn't have to be fully automated or enhanced or fancy at that point. It just has to solve the problem. So when we have this bigger member management system where all of these different aspects are automated, well, then, it's the wrong color there, then we can start seeing how much time it saves us per week, right? And we can reach this next goal that takes us towards our big picture vision. And if it's saving us 5 hours a week that we think we could then focus on creating this additional revenue stream with, well, then that's going to take us out to that big vision, right? And this is when we start creating that full scope app where, okay, now we're adding on features where we can integrate it into companies outside of our own, and then we can start charging them. Then it becomes that additional revenue stream. Okay, so you can see here that once you get to the middle, right, once you get right here in the middle, you have your minimum viable product or your starting point for your app. So you've started out here, right, on the ends with your full scope app and that big picture vision, and you've worked your way in to your starting point. Okay, so we've really just taken all your feature ideas and we've taken that big vision you have of what you want to get out of this, and we've simplified it so that you can have a starting point of what you need to build first and what your first goal should be. And in this case, remember, it's just that member aggregation system, and we just need to have a working product. It's really simplified, but until we have those things, we can't work our way out. So our product and our goals or our vision have to align. And once they do, that's when you can really start building traction with your app. And this is a really simple, such a simple way to create a development plan that you can actually move forward with. So if you have been in those planning phases for too long, or if you've tried to start before but you haven't been able to, well, this is a really simple way to do it. And, you know, most people, they think or they wonder or they ask, how can I do more? What more can I do? How much more planning can I do? How much more wireframing can I do? How many more details can I put in place? And they kind of have this hustle mentality, right? That quote unquote hustle mentality where they just try to do the absolute most to hope and see what works, right? They do a bunch of work and they just hope that something works. and they try to figure things out that way. And it really involves a lot of winging it and overworking and wasted time, because they're doing a lot of work that they don't really need to do, because in reality, you want to simplify this process as much as you possibly can and do the least amount of work that gets you the most results. So you don't want to do the most amount of work you can in order to try to get some type of result. You want to do the least amount of work, which involves focusing on the right components at the right time in order to get the biggest or most valuable outcome for yourself, right? And in this planning scenario, what you're doing is you're starting with that really specific focus, and then you're just building on top of it as you go. So I hope that was helpful for you. I hope this gives you a simplified way of creating your app development plan so that you can actually start building it. So you can pull that big app idea out of your head, put it into a plan, and start building your app. And listen, if you want to dive way deeper into this and go through the process of scoping your app that we take our own clients through, of breaking down exactly what you should build and when and what should be included in specific versions and phases of your app's development, if you want to go through that whole process step by step, we have a free 75-minute workshop that you can join in on and scope out your own app, and not only use this plan for creating your development roadmap, but go even deeper than that. You can click the link right below this video to sign up for that. Again, I hope this was helpful, and we hope to see you there. All right, we will talk soon.